The 2024 draft has concluded, and the 7 draft picks for the Tennessee Titans are headed to Nashville. Welcome into Titans Today. I am your host, Jace Andrews, and we got grades for every single Titans draft pick for you here today. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button if this is your first time joining us for draft weekend. We'll make sure you stick around because we got coverage all throughout the season, including the summer. It's not stopping right here at the draft. We got pretty close to 9,500, 354 subscribers away. So come on in, hit that subscribe button, and join us today for some awesome Titans content. Let's start first with the first round selection for the Tennessee Titans in round 1, pick number 7, that being the offensive tackle from Alabama, JC Latham. Now, he was the number 5 overall offensive tackle, 25th overall prospect, 6'5", 342, and a wingspan that could hug a giant falcon. This guy is absolutely a behemoth and a wingspan that will really take in all those edge rushers. I like what I've seen from him in a lot of things. The thing that I will say is that given we expected to have Joe Alt there at 7 after not seeing him, JC Latham is somewhat of a consolation prize, but still, I'll take that consolation prize every day. He's a plug-and-play option at right tackle, although Ran Carthon has already said he will be moving to left tackle. He's really impressive in terms of his massive length. I think he will be just fine on either side, whichever way you put him. The thing that I could see being an issue, he's sometimes a little bit slow off the jump. Luckily, he will be with Bill Callahan, one of the better offensive line coaches in the National Football League. So, guess what? We're going to be all right with that. He'll fix him right up. And so I'm going to give it a B-. And the reason it's a B-, it's the same reason that I've said this entire weekend. You could have traded back and gotten him. And I know that's something that some people like, some people don't agree with, but you could have done it. I know that there's probably a stipulation and people out there saying, well, what if people didn't want to trade? You're in the top 10 picks. There's always somebody who wants to trade. And I would have been fine with Olu Fashanu. I would have been fine with JC Latham. I would have been fine with Talisi Fuanga. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that I would have been able to say, okay, I'll take him since we didn't get Joe Alt. JC Latham is just one and the same with all the other ones, so that's why I'm going B- on this. Do you like this pick, though? Let me know down in the comments section. How are you feeling about JC Latham being a Tennessee Titan? If you like it, type Y for yes. If you are not too excited about it, then type in for no. Let's talk about the next draft pick in TVondre Sweat, the number 8 overall defensive tackle, somewhat of a reach once again by Brian Callahan and Ran Carthon, the number 100 overall prospect. Now, this guy is a mammoth, nearing almost 375 pounds, standing 6'4", and a guy who will absolutely run through a wall. However, I still think this was a pretty decent reach. TVondre had the issues with the DWI earlier this month. Shouldn't affect him in any terms of, let's say, suspension or maybe even anything at all. But it is something to be concerned about, and obviously that could affect his character and the way he is seen. He's just big, and that's a big thing with the Titans because that's kind of what they were shooting for in terms of what I was hearing. You have Jeffrey Simmons. You're good with getting pressure on the quarterback. Now you have this guy who can take on double teams and shut him off like no reason. This is going to force defensive or offensive lines, rather, to put an extra guy on TVondre Sweat, allowing for Jeffrey Simmons to have one less guy on him and making it an option for more sacks for him. TVondre gets in the backfield. He just doesn't accomplish a sack most of the time. Guess what? When you have Jeffrey Simmons, the sack will be made by someone. I am going to give this a C+ overall just because, once again, it was a huge risk to me, as I know that he can be a positive thing, especially if you can maybe get him down in terms of weight. I just don't know how I feel about the pick being this early. Round 2 pick here for a guy who was a round 3 and a late round 3 at that grade. It's just a little bit of a concern as to how high they valued him. Once again, I know it takes 2 to tango. You're not always able to make a trade. But it doesn't affect the fact that you reached on a guy in round 2, pick 38. So that's just my thought process. Still like the player as a whole. Think he'll be good, but just a tad bit of a reach. Cedric Gray is the best pick to me in this draft for the Tennessee Titans. The linebacker out of North Carolina, the 134 overall prospect. You get him at 106, the 6'1", 234-pound linebacker. I know that there's a lot of things he can do. You can be a pretty good blitzing linebacker, if you ask me. He could potentially turn into somewhat of a edge rushing type. He didn't do that in college. That's a lot to learn, but he has the body figuration of somewhat of a young Micah Parsons. I doubt to see him transform into that, but a blitzing linebacker for sure. He's going to make sure that he attacks the quarterback, and his ability to read a quarterback RPO is literally perfect. I mean, watching tape on him, he is going to perfectly read the situation 9 times out of 10. I really like what I saw from him, especially being a round 4 pick. Let's see what Dane Brugler had to say, though, because obviously he knows ball better than me, saying, quote, Gray might not be experienced and exceptional in any one area, but he is equal parts athletic and aggressive and is always in the vicinity of the football. He projects as a rotational NFL linebacker and special teamer who will compete for starting reps as a rookie, giving him a grade of a 4th rounder. I completely agree, and I'm going to give him a B+. Here's why. I think he is going to be the perfect rotational linebacker for the Tennessee Titans. You have Jack Gibbons. You have Harold Landry on the left side of your linebacker core, the 4 linebacker front. I think you could rotate him in and out of both those situations. You could have him blitz. You could have him go in coverage. He was able to do a lot of different things at the University of North Carolina. And once again, he is just very athletic. And I think that is something that is a lost art in today's game. Drafting for athleticism over maybe some other attributes. That's just my thought process. Make sure you're going to check out one of our amazing sponsors in Game Time. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase if you go to Game Time and use the code CHATSPORTS in the redeem code section. Are you tired of trying to figure out all these ticketing apps and always having struggle finding the best option? Worry no more. Game Time has you covered. They know you shouldn't have to worry about buying tickets to your next big event. And they've got you with fast and easy ways to buy tickets for all your events, including sports, music, comedy, and theater events in your area. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. The Preds are in action in the NHL playoffs, taking on the Canucks. Game 4, tomorrow night, tickets less than $100. You bet your bottom dollar I would go. So go check them out using code CHATSPORTS in the redeem code section is where you're going to get that $20 off their app. Super user-friendly. I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss out on it. It takes just a couple taps to go get your tickets. So here's what you're going to do. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, no spaces, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price guarantee. Jarvis Brownlee is the round 5, number 146 pick for the Tennessee Titans. The cornerback out of Louisville, ranked 20th overall in terms of cornerbacks, 139th as a prospect. Little bit undersized in some facets, 5'10", 194. Not the biggest cornerback of the bunch, but what I like about Jarvis, he has a competitive drive that I have not seen in the NFL draft in a long time. He's aggressive. He loves the game of football, and I do think he's going to come out with something to prove, which, if you know football, that is something to look for because guys like that are going to work tirelessly to make sure they can help out their team. Once again, let's go to the Athletics' Dane Brugler talking about this pick. Quote, Brownlee's aggressive nature will be a double-edged sword versus seasoned NFL athletes, but his movement skills and competitive toughness will be attractive qualities for defensive coordinators. His grade had him in a 3rd through 4th rounder. I'm giving this a B- pick. I love this pick for Denard Wilson because he wants some dogs on his squad, and I think Jarvis Brownlee is exactly that. While he may not be the most technically sound and the most athletic and maybe not the biggest, he makes up for it in aggressiveness. He makes up for it in the will to be the best, and his determination is unlike anybody I've seen. I really like what he brings to the culture, and I think given what Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon are working on in Nashville is something of the nature of what Jarvis Brownlee brings, it's a good pick in my book. B- just because, again, I don't think you needed a cornerback, but I'm not mad about it. It's a culture fit, so let's get that and take it running. Here's where things are going to go a little bit south for me. The round 6 pick number 182 pick was Jaquan Jackson, the wide receiver from Tulane. The big thing behind this pick, and the reason you can hear in my tone of voice, I'm frustrated with it, Brennan Rice was available. Malik Washington was available. And yet you chose Jaquan Jackson, who was an overall rank of 200, and you got him in 182. There were other better wide receivers out there. I know he's got some intangibles that are great. I know that there's a lot of people who like him. I personally am not a big fan of this guy because his thing that he is going to be prominent at is the deep ball. You already have Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins. You didn't need that. You needed a shifty, more guy who can be a little bit better with some maybe agility routes. Let's go to Dane Brugler, though. Maybe he's got something better to say and maybe something that could ease my fears, let's say. Quote, Jackson is undersized and needs to stay off the injury report, but he offers both long speed and short area quickness, along with the route instincts to create pockets of separation for his quarterback. He did grade him a 5th round overall, so maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but I'm going to give this pick a D. I think Malik Washington was the better receiver. I think he's somebody who should have gone and been the one picked. Time will tell, and the way people are evaluated, obviously once you get to the 6th round, there are differences of opinions for multiple different reasons and for multiple different players. So I can't be the one to say whether this is going to work, whether it's not. Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan have trust. I trust in them. I just personally was not a huge fan of this pick, hence why I gave it a D grade. 2 round 7 picks for the Tennessee Titans, the first of which being a linebacker out of Miami, Florida, James Williams. He was the number 17th overall linebacker, and kind of an interesting pick here just because you already got Cedric Gray. I feel like this is more of a result of how the Titans feel about their depth in the linebacker position. I know it's something they worried about. They're pretty confident with their starters, especially with Cedric Gray being a potential guy who could be a rotational starter. It kind of is where maybe the depth just wasn't where they liked it to be, because Harold Landry is great. You're going to have Jack Gibbons. You sign Kenneth Murray. That's going to be a really, really good linebacking core. James Williams can be a depth piece and potentially make the roster 53-man, or at least be the guy on the practice squad to maybe be moved up if injuries were to happen. Dane Brugler says, quote, Williams is more of a tweener athlete than a seasoned football player, but he is a full-throttle enforcer with a unique skill set. He projects best in robber/cover 3 scheme and offers versatility in sub-packages to blitz or match tight ends. His grade, a 6th or 7th rounder. I'm giving it a B. It's a position of need, and I think Dane Brugler hit it on the head. He's somebody who's aggressive. Again, a culture fit for what both Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon have said they want to build in Tennessee. It's somebody that we'll have to see how much of an effect he's going to have on the squad, especially in his first year. I expect it to be a little bit towards the minute side, but I do expect him to, hopefully within his rookie contract, be somewhat of a force in helping cover some tight ends, because that is certainly something you'll have to do, especially in a competitive AFC South. You're going to need all hands on deck, so B's my pick, above average, but nothing special. Then the final pick of the 2024 NFL Draft for the Tennessee Titans comes at number 252. This pick coming via trade from Kansas City in the L'Jarius Sneed swap. Jalen Harrell, the edge from Michigan, and I'm over the moon with this pick. I think this is a pretty good one. 17 ranked edge, number 170 overall prospect that you're getting at 252. He has great size for a speed edge rusher, 6'3", 247. I think there is some concerns in some assets, but if you look at the way he played in college, it should be a pretty easy transition to the NFL, especially with the Titans scheme. Let's go to Dane Brugler saying, quote, Harrell lacks fluidity and doesn't fool anyone with his rush plan, but he brings a ton of effort and purpose in all areas. He projects as a sub-package NFL rusher, similar in ways to 2021 Pittsburgh Steelers draft pick Quincy Roche, grade 6th round. I'm giving it a B+. I like this pick a lot. I'm not sold on it. That's why I don't want to give it an A, just because I do think he is more of a bull rusher type of, I'm just going to go at you. There's no hand swiping. There's no spin moves. There's no any type of move at all. I'm going to go after you. I'm going to beat you. I'm going to be quicker than you. I don't know if that's going to work in the NFL. I think he's going to need to adapt and have some specific packages and movement styles that he can use throughout the game and throughout his career. But what he does bring to the table is a very fast, speedy edge rusher, which is something that I think the Titans were in need of. There's your 7 picks. It's time to grade them from your vantage point. How are we feeling here? A, B, C, D, or F? I want you to let me know down in the comment section. A being a great pick, F being a horrible pick, C being average, B and D the in between. I'll give you mine in just a moment. I'm going with a B grade for the Tennessee Titans. Some picks I liked, some picks I didn't like. Overall, though, this was a solid draft. I'm not going to go crazy and say that all these guys are going to be perfect. This is a great draft. I love what I saw. I think from last year, this was definitely a step back for Ran Carthon in his draft. I can't know that for sure. Maybe I'm off. Maybe some of these guys are going to surprise me. But as of right now, with the information that I have and the needs the Titans have, I think this is a B. We'll have to see. I do like some picks, though. Cedric Gray is a really good pick. JC Latham should be good. I know that it was a little bit of a reach, but he's still a top-tier offensive tackle. And I said as long as you get a tackle, I'm good with it. Latham will be fine. He's actually a little bit bigger in terms of the wingspan than Alt, so I kind of like that in terms of that aspect. All right, well, the NFL draft officially concluded. Obviously, UDFA is starting to roll in. We'll have a video on all those guys here in either probably tomorrow morning at this point, but been a long couple days here at Chat Sports. Let's just say that, to say the least. So we may go back home, and then we'll get you the video on the UDFAs tomorrow morning at the latest, though. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. That way, when we do post that video, you will be alerted. We do appreciate hanging out with us, all of Titans fans. Man, good draft in the books once again. Tighten up and peace out.